And this tree's dead, it just doesn't know it yet. A hack into the side of the tree and then squirt that herbicide. Spray that herbicide evenly all the way around the cut. What are the best techniques for you to use to kill trees in your forest stand improvement operations? I'm Mark Turner, Wildlife Extension Specialist at OSU, and that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. There's a broad variety of wildlife and non-wildlife objectives and reasons why you might consider killing specific species of trees or not. Today I'm going to demonstrate a couple of different ways that you can effectively kill trees. And first we're going to start talking about how to kill larger trees that are, say 10 to 12 inches in diameter and above. Certainly there's other methods that work well, but my favorite way to kill these trees is using a chainsaw and simply doing a technique that we would call girdle and spray. I'm going to take the chainsaw, cut a single line around the tree, which is a girdle, and then spray herbicide into that cut. Specific herbicide that I'm going to be using today is a mixture of imazapyr and triclopyr, 50% Garlon 3A, 40% water, and 10% Arsenal AC, mixed in that order. And it's important that you make sure that the water and the triclopyr are mixed up really good before you add that imazapyr into the mix. Otherwise it can gel up. But the reason I like that mixture is that it's very effective on basically any tree that you would want to kill, and it's very safe to use. Unless you go dumping it out on the ground, you're not going to have non-target mortality issues associated with using that herbicide mix. I'm going to demonstrate right quick how to actually apply this technique using, again, a chainsaw and a squirt bottle, relatively simple, inexpensive tools, and we're going to let a lot more sunlight on the ground while also freeing up these oaks that are adjacent for increasing acorn production in the future. It's important anytime that you're using these equipment to use your PPE, obviously a helmet, chaps, gloves. I've also got a rubber glove on underneath the normal glove for using that herbicide. But chaps are a huge deal. Make sure that you're careful when you're out there in the woods applying these techniques. So just like that, I have inserted or cut a girdle around the tree. I'm now going to use herbicide, again that herbicide mixture that I discussed previously, and spray it into the cut. It doesn't need to be falling down. Anything that's not inside the cut is actually not going to be having any impact, and you don't want it dumping out all over the ground anyway, just because it's unnecessary and is costing you some money. So again, we're just simply going to spray that herbicide evenly all the way around the cut, and that's going to allow us to effectively kill this tree. It's nice if you use some dye. This has a blue dye in it. That just allows you to know that this tree has been treated. And again, it's not important to get further inside the tree than that. All you need to do is get it into that outer cambium layer, and this tree's dead. It just doesn't know it yet. Depending on the time of year that you apply girdle and spray, it'll vary whether or not this tree leafs out or not. Applying it in the fall, it's probably not going to leaf out next spring. If you did it over the winter, about half the trees are going to leaf out in the spring, but then they're quickly going to die back into the summer. So again, that's the girdle and spray technique. Very easy, very effective. And if you're doing it with a buddy, you can very quickly have one person on the chainsaw, one person girdling, and that can go really fast, and you can treat many acres within a given day. Another technique that we commonly use to kill trees when conducting FSI is hack and squirt. So simply by using a hatchet or a machete along with a squirt bottle, again, we're going to use that same herbicide mixture I described in girdle and spray. This technique is one that we don't use on bigger trees, or at least I don't recommend on bigger trees, but mid-story and trees that are about this size, it's really effective on them. It's also effective on several non-native species such as ailanthus or tree of heaven. That's another good option to kill that tree. But simply what we're going to do is put 1 to several hacks around the tree. Generally about 1 hack per every 3 to 4 inches is a good recommendation. So on a tree this size, I'm gonna go ahead and do 2 hacks just to make sure that I get good herbicide coverage. And I'm simply gonna take the hatchet, make a hack into the side of the tree, and then squirt that herbicide into the cut. And again, you don't necessarily want it running down the side, but you also need to make sure that it's in the cambium layer. You don't want it on this, if it's only getting into this outer bark of the tree, that's not going to be very effective. So I'll make 1 hack on that side, and then I'll come around to the other side. Again, you want to make sure that you peel back into the cambium and spray that herbicide into the cut. And again, this tree is going to be dead. It's a relatively effective method. Certainly, you know, doesn't take the equipment that using a chainsaw does, but if we're trying to kill bigger trees with our FSI operations, I really tend to favor a chainsaw because I could also kill this tree very easily with a chainsaw if desired. Another option that we commonly use whenever we're trying to kill trees to reduce the canopy for FSI is felling either with or without an herbicide. Now, if you've got species like eastern red cedar mixed into the mid-story of your forest stand, you're certainly going to want to take advantage of this opportunity to kill them. Now, you could use an herbicide to kill it, either foliar or using something like Hack and Squirt or Girdle and Spray, but in this case, the easiest option is just to simply fell the tree. Cedar does not resprout, and so if we just cut this tree down below the lowest branches, that's going to take care of this issue, and we do not have to use herbicide in that case. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate how to do that. So in this case, that tree is taken care of, but if this were not a cedar, if it were something like a hardwood species, we would actually have to spray herbicide onto that cut. And so that's what we're going to demonstrate over here. Here we've got an oak. We've got several other oaks around. We're wanting to get some more sunlight on the ground. In this case, this guy is not a very good acorn producer. He's a relatively poor producer, and we know that because we've monitored over several years. And so we're going to take this oak out and allow the better acorn producers to survive. Now, I could use Girdle and Spray on this tree, but in this case, you know, if I'm just wanting to maybe add some additional structure in the understory, he wouldn't be a bad candidate to also fell. So I'm going to fell this tree and then spray herbicide onto the cut. Depending on the species, we might decide not to spray herbicide on the cut. If this was, say, something like a black gum or sometimes hackberry, I'll do this as well. Those species are relatively readily eaten by deer when they resprout. In this case, I'm trying to promote a more herbaceous understory, so what I'm going to do is just spray herbicide to make sure that this does not resprout. You only need to apply the herbicide to the outer layer of that tree, or the cambium layer. If you spray herbicide in the middle of this wood, it's not going to do any good, so we're just going to simply spray herbicide around the outside, just coating it, and that's that. This tree is not going to resprout. It's dead, and that's obviously allowing a lot more sunlight onto the ground, which was our objective in this case. As we've shown in this video, there's a lot of different options and ways that you can kill trees to allow more understory vegetation, to promote various things like deer forage availability and turkey nesting and brooding cover. Again, the primary thing is just making sure you get enough sunlight on the ground and you potentially know your tree species to make good identification calls on which you should kill and not kill. For more information on this topic, check out the fact sheet that we've linked in this video on implementing forest stand improvement. There's a lot of great resources online for more information on this as well.